Continue.
All right, guys, this is a backstage bloopers nonetheless. Welcome once again, ladies and gentlemen, into the gentlemen into the Boomer 11 Live. I think we're facing some issue with the camera. I think there's some slight mist in the camera, but nonetheless, it's all misty out there as Australian team has announced their World Cup squad of 18, which will be traveling to India, playing the series against South Africa and the World Cup as well. It's a very interesting squad as a big name, which is Manis Labuschagne, is left out of the team. Very interestingly, we are still yet to find out what's the controversy. Did Pat Cummins and Manis Labuschagne fight in the backgrounds? Or did Manas Labuschagne fought with Daniel Vittori, who's left the Australian dressing room and has gone and joined Sunrisers Hyderabad? The news what we're getting from the middle is that Manas Labuschagne has told that he doesn't want to stick the eagle in his bat, and they were like, without eagle, you ain't playing. And they wanted him to stick a crow. So that's what's happening. But nonetheless, all the BS away, guys. We are here to be talking about the Australian squad for the World Cup. Very interesting squad, a strong squad. They five-time world champions. Of course, when they announced the squad, the eyeballs are on them. They just won a series against India a few months ago, so they are comfortable playing in these conditions. They're going to be playing a series against India right before the World Cup as well. Good enough match practice heading into the World Cup, and they'll be playing India in their first encounter as well. I have Darren with me. Darren, we saw the squad. Very interesting squad they've announced, and that also means an Australian team is coming well prepared for this.
Absolutely. I mean, at this point in time, obviously a long way to go. It's still an 18-member squad, and I think the final is going to be a 15-member squad. But interesting pick of names. This Tanveer Sangha and Aaron Hardy,
Yeah,
who has been brought into the team. So I think they've tried to replace Manas Labuschagne with a batter and a leg spinner.
yeah,
From the looks of it. So, but yeah, I mean, overall, I think aside from Manas Labuschagne being dropped, not much surprises you would say from this squad.
yeah,
David Warner probably playing his last ever World Cup, and then you've got few very mainstay names as Pat Cummins. We've got Travis Head, Mitchell Marsh,
yeah,
Glenn Maxwell, Steve Smith. These are the lads that are. I mean, Josh Hazelwood. But obviously, it's going to be interesting now to look at the names like Sean Abbott, Ashton Agar, someone like Nathan Ellis. Who I mean, especially I think Nathan Ellis is someone that I am really interested to see how he goes about it, because I think in Indian conditions, 50 overs, the ball is going to get much more older
yeah.
than in a T20 match. So he's going to be very handy for them. But then, at this point in time, then would you fit him in with Stark, Hazelwood, and Pat Cummins as well in the 11? So
Yeah.
that's going to be interesting to see how that goes on, because now they have got quite a lot of matches to go ahead
Yeah.
before they make that final call. I think they've got an ODI series in South Africa and then one in India to decide, before the World Cup, which is going to be the 15 member squad.
Yeah, I agree.
And for sure, one thing's for sure, probably by the end of the South African squad, the squad that comes to India, that's going to be the one that's going to play the World Cup.
Definitely. I think they've very much confirmed it on the 18-member squad. And the only thing is they're just looking at, I don't know what's the ICC rules, because provisional score is something which you can submit and you have to make certain changes, especially when it comes to taking out few players here and there. So I think the final 15 is something which you have to submit to ICC with three standbys. So this is the squad which will travel to India for sure. But the three standbys, the names have to be confirmed. So that's what we're waiting for. And I'm just going to display the squad on the screen for you also. You can just see it as well. Very interesting squad as they have announced it, as I mentioned. A strong squad rather. And of course, with every Australian team who comes to the World Cup, you don't get anything else other than a strong team coming out there and playing the World Cup. For me, Australia, what they showed in that series against India, did really show that how good they are, especially in defending totals. And with Mitchell Stark, if he's in song, and he's already been in song in the Ashes,
Yeah.
and he's, it's a World Cup year, and Mitchell Stark, what he can do, if we have all seen that, and what he did in India like 5 months ago against India, he broke the back of India in a couple of occasions with genuinely good swing bowling. So I personally think Australia are gonna rely once again heavily on Mitchell Stark's prowess, but at the same time, a decent enough squad for conditions as well. If you want to change up with someone like a Nathan Ellis, or even with the Josh Hazelwood, Pat Cummins, that trio to play along as well with Adam Zampa, that is a good one. Then with Mitchell Marsh and Cam Green, that builds for a very strong middle order and a top order of Travis Head, David Warner. So I personally think there's a very good squad.
Yeah, I mean, I still think, it probably you're gonna see Tanveer Sangha and the likes of Aaron Andy Hardy not make it to India because at this point in time, obviously, you've got your two wicket keepers, Alex Carey, Joshua Inglis,
Yeah.
who both are probably going to make end up
I
there
think one more
because
player might not make it. I personally think it could be Joshua Inglis. In case of an injury, they might just call in
yeah, but I
Joshua
think you
Inglis.
probably will have an extra wicket keeper on hand. So for me, Abel, most likely the person who might get an axe here is, either it could be, I think
Sean
it's
Abbott.
going to be a toss up between Sean Abbott and, Ellis, because whoever does well in in the
Yeah.
lead up to that series will be the ones who will be going ahead. But I think other than that, Ashton Agar, again, because he can ball, he can bat, also because he's a left arm spinner in Indian conditions,
Yeah.
he will be required, so he's going to make it out, make it obviously the 11. A little bit surprised, I would still say. I expected the likes of, who was a leg spinner again who was doing well in the test series for them? I forgot his name.
Leg spinner?
Yeah,
Swepson?
yeah, Swepson. I expected him to make at least into the top 18,
Yeah.
but I think they've gone with Ashton Agar because of his batting prowess as well.
Yeah.
It's going to be interesting to Aaron. Aaron Hardy, from what I can see, he is another all rounder again.
Yeah.
But then he's again one of those bowlers who are someone like a Stoinis, someone like someone like a Mitch Marsh who can ball at around that 130s, 132, 133
Yeah.
at max, and he bats well as well. He's had a good Sheffield Shield or a decent Sheffield Shield, but
Yeah.
I would still say surprising one because I think the most likely reason why he's been selected here is because of his T20 exploits for
Yeah.
Perth Scorchers in BBL.
Yeah.
So that's the only reason why I see him getting into the squad.
I mean, if you look at his list here, record, it's nothing very, very astonishing or staggering numbers. He scored just 150, averages 24 with the
Yeah.
bat, but he got decent number of wickets as a handy bowler. He's more like Hilton Cartwright kind of a
Yes,
method kind
precisely.
of
Yeah.
player, who can come in and bowl a little bit, can bat a little bit as well. So that's the kind of player. So I don't see him making those squad with three all rounders already being there with Mitch Marsh,
Yes.
Cam Green, and Marcus Stoinis. So that's where the fast bowling core is very strong. Then with Glenn Maxwell, I mean, you have to say the best balanced squad possibly for the World Cup is the Australians, because
Yeah.
if you look at that top eight, if I have to pick out names, I can say David Warner opens definitely with Travis Head or maybe Mitchell Marsh. So that's a call they have to make. So if Mitchell Marsh is the one, because Mitchell Marsh is the one who opened in India,
Yeah.
so Mitchell Marsh and David Warner opens, and then you have someone like Steve Smith. Then you have someone like then that's going to be the question: whether are they going to play someone like Marcus Stoinis at number 4, or they can play Travis at a number 4. I think they prefer playing Glenn Maxwell at number 6 in ODIs. Number 5 is Marcus Stoinis, and number 7 is Cam Green. But now the question is, where does Alex Carey bat? Because there's a lot of batters out there. So I personally don't see Travis Head playing in this squad because of this very reason. So it's going to be Mitchell Marsh who's going to open the batting with David Warner, Steve Smith at 3. Then I see someone like a Marcus Stoinis at 4, Mitch Marsh at 5, and Glenn Maxwell at 6, Alex Carey at 8, Alex Carey at 7. Then Cam Green, I've left him out already. So
Yeah.
so it's still a tough thing. Then you have the fast bowling fire of uh, Pat Cummins, and also Mitchell Stark and Adam Zampa. So it's a lot of players out there. Now, if you look at the batting, they're batting number 9, excluding Cam Green.
Yeah.
Now, if you
Yeah,
have to
I
add Cam
think
Green into that, becomes even a elongated batting order.
most likely, I think what's going to happen, Abel, is that Marcus Stoinis or Cam Green, either one will make it into the playing 11. I don't see both of them playing together because, as you mentioned rightly, if you have to make both of them
Or
play
else
together,
drop Steve Smith, but I don't think they will.
I think they might. If David Warner doesn't do well, they might drop him because then you can easily have Travis Head open the batting. Not at all a bad candidate to open the batting. Then you have a right arm. Again, a right hand, left hand player. Also, someone
Yeah.
who has a bit of bowling in his.
Yeah.
Also a little bit of bowling because 50 overs is a long game. You can
Yeah.
sneak in a few overs
Yeah.
from the likes of Travis Head. But that could be the way to go. But then again, if David Warner, Steve Smith, all those lads are playing, then Cam Green, Marcus Stoinis will get it. Will be the toss up between. It'll be the toss up between the two of them because they will require either Cameron Green or Marcus Stoinis to finish. That's where I feel Marcus Stoinis has a slight edge. But then if I
think Marcus Stoinis plays invariable of what happens because of his experience in India, because of what he's shown in IPL and what he can really bring into the table. And Mitchell Marsh also plays for me.
Yeah.
So the question is, where do they really fit one of these
But
all-rounders?
that's where they again have around 8 matches to go. I think 3 one-days in South Africa, and then probably and then 5 more that when it comes to India. So I
Yeah.
think that's where they'll probably decide between the three all-rounders.
Hmm.
I still think all three of them could lose a spot, and all three of them, I mean, all both of them could, or two of them could
Yeah.
find a spot.
But look
So
at the number of all rounders they have. So I'll just take a few questions. Uh, even if Tiger is old, it's still lethal. I absolutely agree with you. I mean, you have to say the most balanced squad with the number of all rounders they have is the Australian squad. They can have a bowling option from number 2 to number
yeah,
11. Maybe just exclude David Warner, or if you don't want to play David Warner, just exclude Alex Carey. Everybody can ball in that team,
absolutely.
including the likes of Steve Smith, who was a former leg spinner himself. So everybody can ball in the team. Everybody can bat in the team, which includes Travis Head, Glenn Maxwell, Marcus Stoinis, Cam Green, Mitchell Marsh. And in this team, nobody is a certainty, and that's a good thing. Everybody has got a knife right behind their neck because of, okay, if Mitchell Marsh doesn't perform, they've got a Cam Green. If David Warner doesn't perform, they've got a Travis Head.
Yeah.
If Steve Smith doesn't perform, they can replace him with someone else.
I
So
mean,
which is quite a great thing to have.
yeah, at this point in time, it's like, what they talk about. I mean, for those of you guys who watch Marvel, it's like what you talk about Hydra. You cut one head, you find two more growing in its
Yeah.
place. In a very similar fashion, if you are able to tackle one bowler, you have two more to tackle, and if you tackle one batter, then I mean two more to take its place. So
Yeah.
at this point in time, they just look like a ODI juggernaut,
Yeah.
and it's really good to see that, because Australia had a lean patch for a year and
Yeah.
a half
Yeah.
after that David Warner, Steve Smith
Yeah.
debacle, but now it seems like they're back being the favorites in an
Yeah.
ICC tournament. And
Yeah.
remember, guys, I mean, this is India, I know, but it's not like the early 2011 Australian team, which would have
Yeah.
felt a little alien on these conditions.
Yeah.
These lads, most of these lads have made their cricketing
They,
careers
they've
on these
made they play
grounds.
more in India than Indians play
Yeah,
in India.
exactly. So I think, and they're gonna have five
Yeah.
1 days before the World Cup, so which means they have
Three. So yeah,
ample. No, it's five, I think.
it's three.
So they have ample amount of time to go. So
Yeah.
therefore, definitely I mean, if there's one team that you have to be wary about, it's this Australian.
Yeah,
team.
they've got 2 months for the first game from today. They've got 2 months exactly for the first game from today, and they announced the squad
Yeah.
in that confidence that let's go for it, and we know what we are looking at, and that's the kind of confidence we're talking about. Some of the best teams. Teju is right. There's a board who's incompetent about the schedule, so they reschedule the entire India Pakistan game for Durga Puja holiday.
Yeah.
Now that is ridiculous. I mean, I respect the holiday, respect the religious part of it, but you can't
I mean,
reschedule a
you're
tournament
telling
for
me
that.
that you organize the whole World Cup, and then of 2 months before you realize, oh wait, there's Durga Puja holiday on that day.
Yeah. So
That's
you don't
just
want to work on that
ridiculous.
day?
No, that's ridiculous. I mean, either you have to be prudent enough to go through the calendars, understand the kind of challenges you'll face. You
And
can't
now-
do it in the middle.
Now CAB has written to BCCI saying that they can't host England versus Pakistan. So Pakistan has given a green signal, so that's a good news. But you're messing. This has to be the worst hosting done by a board in a long, long while.
Yeah,
I mean, Indian team is in chaos, management is in chaos, BCCI is in chaos. We are a laughing stock in front of the world right now, and
Yeah.
that's not even a joke at this point.
I mean,
Because-
I think at this point in time, we're all tired. Our stomachs are hurting from laughing, because it's become that much a shambolic show. So as to say, because it just seems like, at this point in time, nothing is decided, nothing is guaranteed. Not the
Hmm.
players, not the days matches they're going to be played on. I mean, if you not just the boards, it's also people who probably have already booked tickets in advance,
Yeah.
made their plans around. Because, I mean, Indians, they just have to travel from
Mhm.
one state to another. What about Australian fans? What about Pakistani fans? What about these fans who have to make specific travel arrangements just to come to
Yeah.
India? So it's really
So what about the
shambolic at this
hotel
point.
bookings now? Everybody
Yeah.
booked their hospitals on 14th. Now what happens to them on 15th? The hospital beds are already booked. They can't reschedule the appointment with the doctor. So that's the hard part.
Yeah, I mean,
So look at the
it's also
hospital.
going to hurt a lot of TV manufacturers, and it's going to also hurt a lot of TVs in Pakistan, because if you have to cancel the tickets, come to and book it on another day, if you're not able to find those tickets, then you end up bringing the TVs at the end of the day.
Yeah, so that's hard. I believe BCCI is discussing the squad name very precisely so that they can blame after they lose. Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's funny at this point. We all
I
are.
think one thing's for sure: if India does end up losing, everyone's getting the sack.
I mean,
Everyone is
security
getting the
issues
sack.
हो सकती थे.
Yeah, I
I mean,
should be agree,
obviously, but
but
the question is
why now?
Why now? I
Yeah.
mean, what is the security issue on 15th and 14th?
Like,
Pakistan is suffering because of it. India are suffering. I don't think anybody's having any good other than few diplomats, or I would say administrators in Gujarat at this point, Gujarat Cricket Association and CAB. Because I really don't understand why do you have to sniffle around with
For
Pakistan team who's
me,
touring us. You're
yeah.
telling them, oh, you can't play on this day. Now we can't host you on the other day. I know it's Pakistan who's playing, but why are you treating them so alien? I mean, I think both the teams, even Pakistan and even BCCI, should give them the same treatment as you give to any other team. I don't think any other organization is going to come and target them or anything of that sort.
Yeah,
I need you. I definitely
for
understand
me,
it is a
well,
special
I
arrangement.
understand the security reasons. I understand the kind of tensions that might happen. But my question is, why didn't you see this coming already? Why did you send out the schedule without considering these factors? That is where I feel the responsibility lies in. I can understand that you feel on an auspicious occasion like that there could be some tensions that flare. I mean, we've seen a few riots already happen in
Yeah,
India due to those reasons or due to some reasons related to it. But my question is, you knew that Durga Puja is going to happen on that day. You knew that that day is going to be a
yeah,
holiday,
yeah.
and you chose that day because it is a holiday.
Holiday, yeah,
Then you decided that okay, wait, maybe it's possible that this is going to happen. But these are considerations which should have happened before you release a schedule, before
yeah.
people have made the plan. I mean, Kapil is absolutely spot on. At this point in time, everything that BCCI touches is turning into a laughing stock.
Exactly. Every single thing. Let it be squad announcement. Let it be every single thing. We are becoming a laughing stock. Dharamshala could have been a better option to play this match against Pakistan. Now, there again, the question comes whether Pakistan is comfortable enough to travel all the way to Dharamshala. Now, listen, Pakistan has really asked India to host them in Bangalore and Chennai majorly. Now, if you look, Pakistan's majority of the matches they play in the south of India, considering the security
I
issues in northern
think the
parts
only
and
reason why India versus Pakistan is being held in Ahmedabad is because of the
the
size of the
size of the
stadium.
stadium to
Yeah.
get better revenue out of it. And I'm very surprised that Pakistan are playing in Eden Gardens as well. So Pakistan also suggested Eden Gardens was another option which they gave because they are comfortable playing in Kolkata and south of India, which is Bangalore,
Yeah.
Chennai, and Kolkata, and nowhere else. Even Pakistan was very uncomfortable playing in Narendra Modi Stadium on the 15th. But what India did was they convinced them to play in the bigger stadium, bigger occasion, the marquee game of the entire World Cup in the biggest stadium in the world and whatnot. And that was a holiday. Everything was promoted in such a manner. But now what we are seeing is every single thing is off the radar. Now you want to reschedule the Pakistan versus England game. You want to reschedule other matches because of this very game. Now that is mess, absolute mess. You have no idea what the World Cup schedule is. World Cup starts in 2 months. You have no idea what your team is. But today's topic is Australian team, so let's get back to that once again. So we can rant about it on World Cup scheduling on a different day. But let's pick up a starting 11 for this, right?
Yeah.
Let's start with possibly Patrick Cummins. That's what Teju pointed out. I mean, I understand he's a bad white ball player in T20s, but as a one day bowler, he's not done anything bad.
Yeah,
He's
I
been
think
decent.
he could be a middle overs enforcer, right?
Mhm.
He could start. He could be a player that comes in during, I think the later half of the power play, and then probably from overs 30 to 40. I still think Pat Cummins has its value in the one day format, like you
Yeah.
mentioned, Abel. T20, he sometimes gets. I mean, the batters sometimes go after him because they can line him up. But when it comes to one days, he's got a little bit more time. He's got a little bit more. I would say. I mean, what I would say is a little bit more calmer, and that sometimes helps when you have much more overs
Mhm.
in your hand because you can always come back from a mistake. And as you can, I mean, if you look at the stats as well, 5.2 in this modern era, pretty good economy rate, and an average of 27 runs per wicket.
Yeah.
And every I mean 5 overs, if you can pick a wicket,
Yeah.
that's great. If he can give you 2 wickets and maybe
He
give
gives you
54 runs
average
away,
is 20.
that's perfect.
Yeah, that's decent. 54 runs, 2 wickets, 10 overs,
Yeah.
and that's not bad at all. And
And
yeah,
probably he can give you a 35 odd runs as well on a
yeah,
good day.
yeah.
So
So
perfect, I would say.
he's a decent, and he's a good leader as well.
Yeah.
He's a good captain. Let's not discount that at all. I mean, it's an added value in the modern
I
day.
mean,
If you're a good captain alongside, sorry for that stat. But yeah, if you're a good captain and a decent enough bowler and a batter, it's a complete three-dimensional package, and he's a very good fielder. He earns a lot of respect from his teammates. Now, you saw him in the WTC. You
Yeah.
saw him draw the Ashes. I
I
mean, he's
mean,
got something about him.
for me, Abel, what is really commendable about Pat Cummins was that whole Justin Langer incident at the very start of his captaincy era, where some of the players had issues with the coach, and he stood up. He took the brunt for his teammates. He went on with their opinion, carried it to the board, and that's where he gets his respect from. And ever since that incident, the wave was ridden over by the Australian team. They've just been unstoppable in all three formats, I would have to say. Whether it be test, whether it be one day, they found their old mojo back. And this Australian team is once again a team which is feared on all conditions right now.
Yeah, I agree with you totally on that. But yeah, that's one factor which you need to really look into. But if I have to really be very honest with you, at times, uh, if you have so many players, like so many options, that can also be slightly a problem for you. But
Yeah.
now, what I feel is they need to really cut short on who's going to be their opening. If it's David Warner, it should be David Warner for the World Cup. And if it's going to be Travis Head with him, it should be Travis Head. But I don't really see them go with two left-handers because of this very reason. I know they have no other left-hander
Yeah,
until
I
Alex
think.
Carey for that. If they want to play Travis Head, they'd rather play him at number 4. I think he's a decent enough batter to bat at number 4 for this
But
team.
then if he does play number four able, you would have to forego on one of the all rounders. So you would either have to drop both Mitchell Marsh or Marcus Stoinis, or or rather you'd have to drop Cam Green and Marcus Stoinis
But
to
I
make him fit
personally
him in.
think so.
And then you'll have to. Then what will really happen is Travis Head might have to ball a few overs.
I think Mitchell Marsh opens. I don't think Australia's played a one-day game since the last Indian series.
Hmm.
If you remember that in that series, Mitchell Marsh and Cam Green opened,
Yeah.
and David Warner batted at number 4, which was very interesting for me.
I don't know if that works.
That works for them.
I don't think it worked for David Warner at all.
Yeah. So if David Warner is not the considered opener, then I don't see anyone else. And even Travis had opened the batting in one of the occasions. So
yeah,
it was,
exactly.
it was a
And
chaotic opening.
He
there,
did
but
look good though.
everybody can open in their batting
Yeah,
order. Even
yeah.
Glenn Maxwell can. All 7 can open the batting, including Alex Carey can open the batting in their
Yeah,
team. So
yeah.
everybody can open the batting.
I mean, for
which is
me,
a good thing.
I would still go with David Warner at least for the South Africa series, see how he goes about it.
Yeah.
If that doesn't click, if it doesn't work, then I would maybe look at a Travis Head. But for me, Travis Head misses
I
out,
think David Warner
unfortunately.
should start in India. I mean, there is
Yeah,
no two ways about it.
absolutely. But I think that's where you will have to forego Travis Head, because for me, Travis Head really doesn't fit in then. I mean, you have a left-hander in Alex Carey. He can be shuffled throughout the batting order if you want to, counter a spinner. And you have Glenn Maxwell who will ball in those offies as well. So then where do you really need a Travis Head is my question.
So my only thing.
Otherwise, you need to drop David Warner and then Travis
if you
Head
really
opens.
want a left-hander, you can put a left-hander in the middle and then shift that all-rounder spot up. Then what happens is Mitchell Marsh and David Warner opens. Then I don't see Cam Green in my team in that case.
Yeah.
Because Glenn Maxwell is a short
You
starter.
will have to drop one all-rounder.
And I think
and
Glenn
Travis Head.
Maxwell should bat number 5 on this team, not number 6.
Hmm.
And Glenn Maxwell is a decent enough batter to bat number 5. Marcus Stoinis can bat number 6. Then Alex Carey number 7.
Yeah.
Or else, another option what they have is they have to drop one of the pacers, which is Josh Hazelwood or
I don't think that's happening, and that shouldn't happen as well. I think Josh Hazelwood has also become a death baller now.
Yeah.
So that means he's that much more. I think he's dead. Their best death baller.
Now the biggest issue is Alex Carey has to play because of his wicket keeping prowess.
Yeah.
He's the only specialist wicket keeper. If anybody in that all rounders, if David Warner or anybody could keep the wickets, it becomes a lot more easier for this team.
I mean,
But-
they don't have a KL Rahul like a player, right? Who could just
Are you
about
just saying
wicket
that
keep.
KL Rahul is that? Just
No,
just
I
not
think
better.
when you look at KL Rahul, you won't say a wicket keeper first. He's obviously a secondary wicket keeper. That's a secondary skill.
No.
But there is no player in Australian team like that anymore. I mean, probably one. I think the last player I remember of that mold was probably Peter Hanscom. But then now, if you look at this team, there's no one who's kept wickets. No one ever has. So that's where you genuinely have to play. Someone like.
या हम एलपीएल नहीं देखी आयशा, क्योंकि जिस तरीके का जितना लीग्स हो रहा है आजकल, मतलब एलपीएल हो रहा है, जीएल T20 हो रहा है, एमएलसी हो रहा है. एमएलसी मैंने बिल्कुल देखा था क्योंकि एमएलसी काफी अच्छा भी था देखने में, क्वालिटी ऑफ क्रिकेट भी कुछ ज्यादा ही था. एलपीएल में हाँ बाबर आजम अच्छा कर रहा है, वो तो अच्छी बात है क्योंकि जिस तरीके से उसने आज भी शतक मारा है, अच्छी बात है कि वो अच्छे फॉर्म में है वर्ल्ड कप से पहले. और बाबर आजम एलपीएल खेल रहे क्योंकि एशिया कप श्रीलंका में होने वाला है और जिस तरह के वर्ल्ड कप भी एशियन कंडीशंस में होंगे, उस तैयारी के लिए वो बाबर आजम ने चुना कि मैं एशिया कप में एलपीएल खेलूंगा. और जिस तरीके का बॉलिंग अटैक को अभी आजकल बाबर आजम मार रहा है, अच्छी बात है, फॉर्म में भी लग रहा है. पर हाँ वही है, बहुत ज्यादा ही लीग्स हो रहे हैं दुनिया भर के, तो बात करने का टाइम नहीं मिलता. हर लीग के पीछे जाएगा तो कुछ पड़ेगा ही नहीं और व्यूअरशिप भी नहीं मिलता क्योंकि ज्यादातर प्लेयर्स को जानता भी नहीं हो जो एलपीएल खेल रहे हैं. मैं ऑनेस्टली बात कर रहा हूँ क्योंकि श्रीलंका में बहुत सारे यंग बच्चे खेल रहे हैं.
Just going over the bowling attack that he faces: Akila Dhananjay, Dasun Shanaka, Shamsi, Ngarava, Shakib Al Hasan, Rajita. Not a bad attack, I would say. I mean,
it's a Zimbabwean
the Zimbabwean bowler who really gave a tough time to Pakistan. So he bowled well again today, by the way. But aside from him and Tabrez Shamsi and Dasun Shanaka, I think Rajita, and Akila Dhananjay are the ones who really traveled the miles.
Yeah. You guys live in which city and state currently? So you also belong to state. And also, you belong to which state and city? Okay, so
Interesting that is
interesting
actually. So
question. That's a
yeah,
very personal question. But yeah, we are in Bangalore right now. That's where Namma Bengaluru. So
yeah,
we belong to Kerala, but
yeah. But then interestingly enough,
none of us are where
when you
brought up in
say
Kerala.
belong now, we are, and our parents are from Kerala, but then I've lived most of my life in Goa. He's lived most of his life in UAE, so we really don't know where we belong.
Yeah, we are Indians and we are proud Indians. So
Pan Indians,
we
yeah.
don't say which state, we say India.
Yeah, we're one of those.
One of those people. Jalen Abraham, India. That's how you're supposed to say. Else, name like team entry.
Yeah,
But nonetheless, we're proud to be from where we are. We support all. So coming from UAE, that's where learned to love a lot of Asian teams. I've got a lot of friends from Pakistan and Sri Lanka and Bangladesh as well. So that really helped in terms of my upbringing and helping to have that
yeah,
kind of camaraderie with a lot of people across the border as well. So
yeah,
that really helps. So watch them a lot closely
yeah. Kapil,
and at the
always Indian.
always Indian, yeah, absolutely. But at the same time, Kerala vegetables se belong करते हैं. Oh,
Oh
vegetable,
no.
भाई साहब. Now stop that. I'm not gonna bring that.
Yeah,
Okay, so let's talk about this team once again. Final thoughts.
yeah.
I personally think Australia will make it to the final.
I mean, yeah, I think so too. Until and unless one of the Asian teams flex their Asian
I think it's
strengths,
going to be India, Pakistan, Australia. I'm just saying India to
probably
make the semi-final.
England as well. I think.
Don't be surprised if India doesn't make the semi-finals.
Yeah.
India looks the weakest among them from
Yeah.
the top picks.
I mean, at this point in time, you genuinely need a miracle, I would say, to really suddenly the team should feel camaraderie and chemistry out
Yeah.
of nowhere.
It's-
Because at this point in time, able for me, it seems like the players, the 15 players are going to be in the squad,
Yeah.
would have not played at least a series together
Yeah.
before they've come
For
to
me,
sit together.
I'm not going to pick the World Cup prediction straight away, but then Australian team, just
I
on that
mean-
basis, let's see other squads as well before we
Yeah.
make those complete predictions right
They've-
before the World Cup, because we can know what's a lead up to the World Cup, what's a
I
form
mean,
there.
just look at the kind of options they have, right? They've got 3 spinners probably in their first 11 with Glenn Maxwell, Ashton Agar, Adam Zampa.
No, I don't think Ashton
Yeah,
plays.
I
So
mean,
two spinners.
depending, I mean, just looking at the squad, and then you've got probably a Steve Smith who can roll his arm, a Travis Head who can roll his arm. Then you've got in pace attack, you've got Ellis, you've got Hazelwood, Pat Cummins, Stoinis.
I'll just tell you what is there in this in the starting 11. Mitch
Yeah.
Marsh, Marcus Stoinis. Then you have 3 pacers, so that's 5
Yeah.
plus 2. That's 7 bowling options out of 11. Now, if I were to add someone like a Cam Green or Cam Green or maybe even Steve Smith to that, or Travis Head to that, that's 9 bowling options in the 11.
Yeah.
So that's a good bowling attack leading into that World Cup. So it's
I
very
mean-
tough for me to choose.
and
For me,
I-
my starting 11 still is David Warner,
Yeah.
Mitch Marsh,
And
Steve Smith.
everyone can bat till Josh Hazelwood. So
Yeah, Steve Smith, Marcus Stoinis, Glenn Maxwell, Cam Green, Alex Carey.
yeah.
Did I miss out any all-rounders?
No, I think you've got one.
So
Probably Aaron Hardy is the only one you have
This
not.
is Steve Smith. Yeah. So that is my team. So which is 8 bowling options excluding Travis Head. Now I personally think they'll go with this team.
Yeah.
There'll be Cam Green will play in that team because I certainly think, considering what he did in India in the recent past, he will play in top 4 in my opinion.
I think he's also a better bowling option than Marcus Stoinis.
Yeah.
But for me, then you're really choosing between his bowling and Marcus Stoinis' finishing skills.
so. Marcus Stoinis
Which
can
would
bat
you
number
go
5.
with? So like, who are you? So you're going with?
I
Mitch
think
Marsh?
Cam Green should bat number 5. No, okay. Mitch Marsh opens with David Warner.
Yeah.
And then number 3, Steve Smith.
Yeah.
Number 4, Marcus Stoinis
Okay.
or Glenn Maxwell.
Ah.
For me, I would have Glenn Maxwell. Ideally.
You would probably go with Glenn
Or
Maxwell.
I'll have Cam Green number 4 because I think Cam Green should bat top 4. Cam Green number 4.
Okay.
Marcus Stoinis number 5. Glenn Maxwell number 6. Then Alex Carey.
Carey number 7.
Then the 3 fast bowlers.
Yeah. So
then
then
Adam Zampa.
I think so. You're basically leaving out Marcus Stoinis then.
No, I had Marcus
Oh.
Stoinis at number 5. Number 6.
Marcus Stoinis, Cam Green, Mitch Stark, all 3 of them play.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mitch Marsh.
that's actually the ideal 11 then. Yeah, I mean, perfect 11, I would say. Yeah.
They've
But
got
then you
such
would-
a powerhouse.
You
there.
would have to
Now
drop.
look at the middle order. They've got Maxwell,
Yeah.
Maxwell, Stoinis, Cam Green,
Yeah.
Alex Carey.
Alex Carey. I think
Or
all
either way
4
around.
players-
If they want, they can bring Mitch Marsh down
Yeah.
and they can push someone
And
up.
I mean, all 4 players can cause damage at the
If
la-
they
at the
want,
last.
ideally,
time.
they would also like to have Cam Green at the top of the order.
Yeah.
Cam Green is better suited at the top of the order, so they might.
But
just
I think at number 4, he's got just the right amount.
I think even Mitch
the
Marsh
new
is
ball-
comfortable playing there.
Yeah.
So, but I think if Mitch Marsh wants to bat number 4, which is ideal, then they have Mitch Marsh, Glenn Max, and Marcus Stoinis in the middle order. Now that is 3 ball. That is 12. okay, I can tell you that is 20 overs of bowling.
Yeah.
Let's say 20 overs of bowling. Then if you want to add Mitch Marsh, which I don't think he'll bowl a lot, you can say 23, 24 overs of bowling in these four all-rounders. Then you have Adam Zampa, that's 10. Then you have Josh Hazelwood, Patrick Cummins. So that's close to 80, 90 overs of bowling with which they're going to step into the field with. That's a
Yeah.
lot of overs in a 50-over game. And that's why they have the best balanced squad, even ahead of England.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, the World Cup is in winter season, therefore swing and seam ballers. Yeah,
No, I
I
think
mean,
we are too early to jump into that conclusion. I think it's the best season for batting in India. We often are very fresh.
I mean, it's not going to be exactly winter as
It's
well,
not
right?
winter
It's
as
going
well.
to
So
be
I think it's going to
autumn.
be very tough for fast bowlers in the day and night games, except in certain areas because with the dew which is going to set in, I think it's going to be tough. But if the pitches are fresh in the early parts of the World Cup, I think then the bowling first teams and with a slight bit of overcast and whatnot is there in conditions like Dharamshala, in conditions like Delhi, or I don't think at least in Delhi, but where else are we playing? I could say Mumbai for that example, where the ball gets to move around a little bit. Lucknow, if they're providing a good red soil pitch, the ball will nip around quite a lot. Then Ahmedabad, of course, the ball moves around quite a lot in the later stage of the match.
Yeah.
So these are the conditions where you will see the ball really nip around for seamers, and that's why I think Mitchell Stark, Josh Hazelwood, Patrick Cummins, and Cam Green with maybe Marcus Stoinis is a formidable attack. I personally think Australia are one of the strong favorites for the World Cup, just making it very clear, knowing that all of these players have plethora of IPL experience.
Also, the fact that most of them are in form. I
Yeah.
mean, in the current Ashes as well. I know red ball,
And
white
if
ball.
David Warner
different.
wants to be dropped, he can be dropped for Travis
Travis
Head. So
Head,
it's as simple as
exactly.
that. So
I mean, at this point in time, look at any player, you'll find another replacement just
Yeah.
waiting in the wings. So that's where the Australian team is scary. And they're the kind of depth that they have at this point in time, and the players and the form they're in, real.
and
good
they've chose to
favourites.
go with the aggressive option, and
Yeah.
they've decided to drop Manus Labuschagne on the very fact that he's not an aggressive option for them. They don't want that particular thing. 10 for 3, I would
Yeah.
rather be given a plenty of starting overs, how to overcome these situations between the mess. 10 for 3 runs being given plenty, and I don't understand what is he trying to say there. Overs, how to overcome these situations. I mean, okay, so it's very clear. And for I'll say from 10 for 3, what can you do? Can you attack your way out, or can you just maybe play out? Maybe
Yeah, I think you have to play out.
See,
It's,
there are two ways to go about it. So if the conditions are extremely hard and if you want to go with an attacking mindset, you have to go run a ball. You still want to do 10 for 3. I've seen teams where you go, okay, now I'll score 220 to go. But then I think the modern game has changed a lot. 10 for 3, you should still be able to score 300 on the
I
on the
think
board.
if you're
So
10
that,
for 3, you probably will do a little bit of mitigation.
yeah, mitigation you should do.
Probably get to the
Yeah, I think
8th, 9th over without losing any more, and
yeah,
then really
10 for
launch.
3, then you can play for 25 overs like that.
Because it's
Then-
also a 50 overs match.
50 overs World Cup.
yeah.
So 20, 20, 20, 25 overs is where you don't want to lose a wicket. Maximum you can lose one wicket in that span. Then if you have 6 wickets in hand with the last 23 overs to go, then you can absolutely launch, maybe go at 8, 9 runs per over, get the 300 marks. And I think considering this World Cup being in that part of the year, I personally think 300 is a minimum in India. 300 is a minimum until unless the ball starts turning drastically in pitches like Lucknow and Chennai. Other than
I
that,
mean,
300 is a minimum.
Small boundaries, most of the
I think
teams down to
320 is a
small
minimum.
boundaries,
I
so
think,
yeah.
and Dharamshala,
But
I
then
think it's
that's the
gonna
thing
go up to
about World
330
Cup,
as well.
isn't it, Abel? Where we've seen, even in England, we all expected
But,
it
but
to be
I
a-
think England, because of the rain, you saw the conditions change very quickly. But in India, knowing what happens in India, because of the
I mean,
smaller grounds,
I still think the early part of, at least if not,
tell me in Chinnaswamy,
yeah.
tell me in Dharamshala,
Yeah.
Ahmedabad, Eden Gardens, if you
But I
can't score
think
300, how are you going to survive?
300, 310, 320 is probably the target that's going to come.
It depends. It totally depends. I personally think 340 is also going to be chasing this World Cup very comfortably
Yeah.
by teams. So I don't think any total is really safe in this World Cup. I think teams will prefer chasing 9 out of 10 occasions in this
Absolutely,
World Cup.
absolutely.
Teams will be winning the toss and chasing very clearly.
Yeah.
Until unless it's like on grounds like Lucknow or Chennai where they really feel the surface is very dry, because Chennai will be towards like rainy season in Chennai. It's not, Chennai, it rains in November, December. So if there are not a lot of dew in Chennai, they would still prefer batting first in Chennai, because Chennai is a good option to bat first. Maybe score 280, 290 and defend it, because it gets really hard to hit in Chennai. But other than that, any other surface, maybe except Lucknow and Chennai, every other surface, considering the small boundaries, every team will prefer even backing out to chase to 360, 370 down, even if you concede. So it's why batting overpowered World Cup for a lot of reasons.
But then, I mean, I still think for me, the World Cup and the pressure of the World Cup might just bring the scores 30 to 50 runs shorter than what we probably would have seen in a bilateral series. I still think that
व्यूज क्यों नहीं आता? आप लोग शेयर कर लीजिए तो व्यूज आ जाएगा.
थोड़ा help कर
Help कर
दीजिए.
लो, that's where-
अभी थोड़ा सा ऑफ सीजन भी चल रहा है. I
तो
think that's
views
also
आता
a
ही नहीं.
reason why.
If you really
post
love
the
our content,
IPL,
share it with all of your community friends, Jija ji, Babi ji, everybody, Mosa, Mosi,
yeah,
Chacha, Chachi, everybody.
pure khandan, pure what do you call it?
Kanga,
Quam.
Quab. Yeah, what was that?
Yeah, I forgot.
I forgot.
Yeah, but it's shared with the whole community.
Yeah, Com was there, Com.
Yeah.
Yeah. Instead of um, instead of only going for IPL selectors, should go for talent here and
I think
there.
this is an interesting debate, maybe not today, but for another day. But do you think now, finally, the fact that we're not playing enough leagues around the world, our players are not playing enough leagues around the world, is
Yeah.
catching up to us?
I don't know because at
I
this point, I can't really blame the IPL players if you're not going to use them correctly.
Yeah,
So I
that's
told you
true.
yesterday's debate was all on how we're not using IPL talents. Now, Sanju Samson is a phenomenal IPL talent, but you want to make him play as a number 6 for this team? What ridiculous!
I
idea
think
is
better
that?
than that, then you'd rather choose a Rinku Singh.
Yeah.
He plays number 6.
So that's the whole point. You don't know
Yeah.
where to fit in a player just
I
for the
mean,
name you've selected.
that's just, I don't know.
Now, that's pretty much it. Ishan Kishan is an IPL talent, but if he's not performing, why don't you give it to a proper IPL talent, which is Yashasvi Jaiswal, who's waiting
Yeah.
for the wings, and make Sanju Samson keep wickets and play him at
I
number
mean,
3. For me, in this T20 team, very clearly speaking, Sanju Samson bats number 3, and Surya Kumar Yadav should bat number 4.
Yeah.
There's no two ways looking about it because Sanju Samson's replacement, Rahul Tripathi, for that particular season against Sri Lanka, batted number 3. So Sanju Samson should bat number 3 for this team. Or else, if you don't want, you want someone like Sanju Samson, bring in Jitesh Sharma to keep wickets then. Now, if you don't want Sanju Samson, because I think Sanju Samson is a better suited ODI player at this point than a T20 player, to be very
Yeah.
fair. Because you are not going to use him at number 3 because you want to go to Surya Kumar Yadav at number 3.
Fair enough, but then don't make him play number 6.
Yeah,
That's
play-
ridiculous.
That's not any use to the team. We're not going to take any stance for any player as well. So that's pretty much the whole factor. Jija ji kiya hota hai. Okay. I don't
Jija ji is
know.
your sister's husband.
Yeah.
And yeah.
And if our RCB's head coach thoughts, but would have liked Hessen to continue as actor of Operation Run. So I think the whole sack came after the Chehal interview with Ranveer Alawadia.
Yeah. Scapegoats, bro.
Yeah,
Scapegoats.
So,
It's the whole RCB management who should be blamed, treating their players like that.
no, I would say
You're just selecting scapegoats at this
no,
point.
no.
in
I'll
time.
tell you. Let me be very honest with this. So
Nah.
I think it's way too late to sack at this point.
Yes.
Because this should have happened 2 years ago, not at this point. Because of an interview which comes, you try to save your image.
So I mean, now you're saying now that it is out in the public, I mean, the damage has been
That was
done.
poor way.
It's damage mitigation more than justice.
True. But I think Andy Flower, very, very excited. I wanted him to coach Indian team. I thought he was the next one to replace Rahul Dravid, but I'm very happy he's coaching one of my teams. So Andy Flower as RCB coach, I would take it. He's one of my favorite coaches personally.
Yeah.
And Mike Essen, I felt he was very defensive as a director of cricket operations, very good. But I think Malole, Mike Essen, Sanjay Bangre all deserved a sacking in my opinion. I was getting frustrated with them.
This is like the last few coaching staff.
No. I was happier with them compared to others, but it was still mediocre. As long as you don't give me a trophy, you're a mediocre team.
Yeah, that's
so
true.
that's
RCB
mediocre.
is a mediocre
No,
team.
I'm talking about Daniel Vittori was a horrendous coach.
Yeah.
Or let it be Ashish Nehra, or that coaching staff was horrendous as well. Though
Why is it able that people who are in RCB, when they leave and they go to
No,
other
I think
teams-
Ashish Nehra could have been given an extension, but I thought a lot of I thought a lot of things did not really go their way. There were a lot of calls which they lost 6 matches in a row, whatnot.
Yeah.
I mean, the setup was not right for Ashish Nehra as well. I mean, maybe he's a better coach now. At that point, I really found some of his tactical calls to be very stupendous. It was not great at all.
Stupendous.
No, was stupid rather. But I personally feel Ashish Nehra right now is a better coach, and everybody reflects after a
That's
couple of
'cause-
bad seasons.
Yeah, I mean,
And I
everyone
think-
reflects after they leave RCB.
No.
We've seen a long list
I
of
personally think
players and coaches who are better.
Mike
off.
Essen was great, but he had his mediocrity. Even you've seen that with New Zealand team as well.
There
he was
we go.
great.
Teju's
but
already
it-
called for it. I think DK should now come to Chennai. It's going to be his second coming.
I personally think DK should be released. As simple as a DK
Yeah.
Harshal.
would love to
DK,
see the trio
Harshal
at
and
Chennai.
Hasaranga should be released.
would
I
love
think you can
to-
still keep Hasaranga but release Harshal. Or
I would
maybe
love
keep.
to see. I
or-
genuinely think Harshal coming to Chennai would be the best thing.
That's the best thing for him because.
Yeah.
he
And
is
for
a-
us, we'll probably get our 6th title. Would be
uh,
amazing to see Harshal
But I
come
would
to Chennai.
rather keep Harshal and let go of Hasaranga
Because-
because
yeah.
Hasaranga is good as a strike bowler, but your biggest mistake still is going to be releasing Chahal. I don't think in Indian market you're going to ever find a bowler of Chahal's
Guys,
quality.
Guys,
if-
go
if-
back to when we did the auction preview. And when I said that releasing Chahal was a mistake, Abel said Hasaranga is a better option.
As an all-rounder, yes. But
Yes.
Hasaranga has done nothing in IPL. I gave him 2 seasons to show with the bat. But If you can't do it,
all I'm saying is
no,
I said
on
it
paper,
there.
to be fair, in the first season, he was your leading wicket taker. Now,
Hmm.
I have no issue in that. This season, I agree with you. He was found out a lot more. Playing in Chinnaswamy is not everybody's cup of tea.
Absolutely.
And next year, the IPL is not in Chinnaswamy.
Yeah, it's
So,
not. It's not.
it's
not,
in
not gonna
UAE.
be in
You
India.
have to
Yeah.
take Hasaranga. You have to take Harshal.
Yeah.
So, don't release Harshal and Hasaranga. Don't make the mistake. Keep Harshal and Hasaranga for next season and
I
release DK.
think. I
As
think for
simple as
me,
that. Next season, the IPL is going to be in UAE, most likely UAE or South Africa.
I think for
Wherever it
me,
is, the bigger grounds, as long as it's not in Chinnaswamy, release, do keep Hasaranga and Harshal, because you release them in UAE, you're going to really find it really mad. Now, Andy Flower, I hope one mistake he doesn't do is not to release them
release
now.
Harshal. Give it to Chennai. We want a
Because
player like Harshal.
in Sharjah, in Dubai, in
I
Abu Dhabi next season, I think
I'll
it's
tell
going to
you
be
why.
really good.
Right? I'll tell you why. See, we need a baller like Harshal because ever since Bravo is gone, we need that kind of a
But I'm not going to
mold
that
of a
discussion.
baller.
Let's just stop that
I
discussion
mean,
right now.
and we've got Bravo as a coach. It's better for him to come here because he can actually learn his craft better at Chennai, like many others. Like
Yeah,
Dubey.
exactly. But whatever. Next season you don't release them. Next season you keep Harshal and Hazaranga because it's in UAE. Very, very serious about the RCB. Don't release them. In Chinnaswamy, I agree you can release them because that's not the mold you wanted. And remember, RCB was hit by so many injuries this year.
Yeah.
RCB went with a half injured team throughout the
course.
season. So
Every year.
no. This time genuinely they were. Also, RCB could have made it to the playoffs. You do not have
Yeah.
Rajat Patidar. You do not have
Absolutely.
Josh Hazelwood. You do not have Hasaranga for the first 5 games and whatnot. So RCB did not really have a good things to start their way. But I would suggest releasing Faf du Plessis, give him off to Chennai Super Kings, get Virat Kohli as a new captain in board. Faf du Plessis' time is over. His last spark was the last IPL. Don't expect anything more of him. You're going to see nothing but a very mediocre season from Faf du Plessis. I'm calling it right now. Listen to me. Release Faf du Plessis, let him go, and get a new batter. That's it. That's end of my life for the day. Prithvi Shaw gave that to RCB. Prithvi Shaw to RCB is better than Faf du Plessis right now. So I agree, but I hope he doesn't get hit wicket and get out like the week or a day.
The county, yeah.
All right, guys. Good night. Have a good night, all of you. Sleep well. Wake up to a beautiful day tomorrow, and we'll be back in the evening to see where India loses the series or not. Because Hardik Pandya says everything should be done a unique way. So losing a series to West Indies after 12 long years is a unique thing.
Yeah, it's a very unique thing. I mean,
So
why not?
why not? Have a good night, all of you. Bye bye.